The Story of Salah ad-Din, Saladin. In the annals of history, few figures stand out with the same legendary stature as Salah ad-Din, or Saladin as he is known in the West. Born in 1137 in Tikrit, a town along the Tigris River, Salah ad-Din would rise from a humble background to become one of the most revered military leaders in the Islamic world and a symbol of chivalry and courage in both East and West. His life was marked by his defense of Islam, his magnanimity, and his pivotal role in the Crusades. Early life and rise to power. Salah ad-Din was born into a Kurdish family in the service of the Seljuk Turks. His father, Ayub, was a trusted officer of the Turkish ruler Zengi, and Salah ad-Din spent his youth learning the arts of governance, diplomacy, and warfare under the tutelage of his uncle Shirkuh, a seasoned military commander. Despite his early exposure to war, Salah ad-Din was more interested in religious studies and philosophy than in the sword. However, his destiny lay in leadership. In 1169, at the age of 31, Salah ad-Din was appointed vizier of Egypt under the Fatimid Caliphate, thanks to his uncle's successful military campaigns in the region. After Shirkuh's death, Salah ad-Din quickly consolidated power and began to reform the military and administrative systems in Egypt. He also strengthened his army and reduced the influence of the Fatimid Shia leadership, gradually shifting Egypt back to Sunni Islam and allegiance to the Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad. Unifying the Muslim world. Salah ad-Din's ambition was not limited to Egypt. His ultimate goal was to unite the fragmented Muslim territories of the Near East under one banner to resist the growing threat of the Crusaders, who had established several Christian kingdoms in the Levant, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem. Salah ad-Din began a series of campaigns to bring Syria, Iraq, and other neighboring regions under his control. In 1174, following the death of Nur ad-Din, the ruler of Syria, Salah ad-Din moved quickly to assert his authority in Damascus, which welcomed him as a liberator. Over the next decade, he worked tirelessly to expand his influence across the region, becoming the undisputed leader of a united Muslim front. His military acumen and diplomatic skills earned him the loyalty of many, while his reputation for justice and generosity endeared him to both soldiers and civilians alike. The Crusades and the Battle for Jerusalem. The defining chapter of Salah ad-Din's life came with his confrontation with the Crusaders. By the late 12th century, the Christian Crusader states, especially the Kingdom of Jerusalem, posed a serious threat to Muslim control of the Holy Land. Salah ad-Din understood that the only way to secure lasting peace and stability in the region was to defeat the Crusaders decisively. In 1187, after years of skirmishes and diplomatic maneuvering, Salah ad-Din launched his most famous campaign. In July of that year, his army met the forces of the Kingdom of Jerusalem at the Battle of Hattin. Despite the Crusaders' confidence, they were decisively defeated. Salah ad-Din's forces captured or killed much of the Crusader army, and the defeat left Jerusalem vulnerable. A few months later, in October 1187, Salah ad-Din's army laid siege to Jerusalem. Unlike the bloody conquest of Jerusalem by the Crusaders in 1099, where Muslims and Jews were slaughtered en masse, Salah ad-Din entered the city peacefully after negotiating a surrender. He allowed Christian residents to leave in safety, and he protected the holy sites of all faiths, establishing himself as not only a skilled warrior, but also a just and magnanimous ruler. The Third Crusade and Salah ad-Din's chivalry. Salah ad-Din's capture of Jerusalem shocked Europe, and in response, the Pope called for a new crusade to retake the Holy City. This would become known as the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, led by some of the most famous kings of Europe, including Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. The ensuing conflict between Salah ad-Din and Richard the Lionheart became legendary, not just for the battles, but for the mutual respect and chivalry between the two leaders. Although the Crusaders won several key battles, including the recapture of Acre, they were never able to take Jerusalem. One of the most famous stories from this period highlights Salah ad-Din's sense of honor. During a period of illness in the Crusader camp, Richard the Lionheart fell seriously ill. Salah ad-Din, rather than exploiting his enemy's weakness, sent his personal physician and offered fresh fruit and cooling water to help Richard recover. This act of kindness won the admiration of both Muslims and Christians, solidifying Salah ad-Din's reputation as a chivalrous leader. In 1292, after several years of intense fighting, Salah ad-Din and Richard the Lionheart negotiated a truce. Although Jerusalem remained under Muslim control, Christians were granted safe passage to visit their holy sites. This agreement effectively ended the Third Crusade, and both leaders left the battlefield with their honor intact. Salah ad-Din's legacy. Salah ad-Din passed away in 1193, just a year after the truce with the Crusaders. Despite his vast power and wealth, he died with very little personal fortune, having given most of it away in charity and to his soldiers. His death marked the end of an era, but his legacy endured. He is remembered not only as a brilliant military commander, but also as a symbol of humility, generosity, and justice. His ability to unite the Muslim world, his respectful treatment of his enemies, and his unwavering commitment to protecting Islam made him a revered figure in both the Islamic and Christian worlds. Salah ad-Din's story continues to inspire people today, and his life stands as a testament to the power of leadership, honor, and compassion in times of conflict. Whether celebrated as a liberator or admired as a noble adversary, his place in history remains secure as one of the greatest figures of the medieval world.